You ever have one of those neighbors who's so entitled, they truly believe everything in the neighborhood belongs to them? Well, imagine this. I opened my own garage one morning, and the HOA's self-proclaimed neighborhood queen, Karen, sees my car inside and immediately calls 911 screaming that I stole it. The twist. The stolen car she claimed to have just bought was mine. Yeah. Buckle up, because this story only gets crazier from here. My name's Ryan, and I live in a quiet suburban neighborhood that used to be peaceful, until Karen became head of the HOA. If you've never dealt with an HOA Karen before, consider yourself lucky. She walked around like she owned every driveway, mailbox, and blade of grass in the subdivision. She made up rules that didn't exist, fined people for aesthetics, and treated everyone else like we were living in her world. She had this weird obsession with controlling everything. Who parked where, who painted their fence, even what kind of plants you could grow. I tried to stay out of her way. I worked from home, kept to myself, and rarely interacted with her. But apparently, minding your own business is a crime in Karen's HOA kingdom. Now, I'm a car guy. Always have been. About 6 months ago, I bought my dream car, a 1969 Mustang Fastback. Jet black, chrome rims, the kind of car that makes you look twice when it rumbles down the street. It was a restoration project I'd been working on for years. I finally finished it, and let me tell you, I was proud of that thing. When I first parked it in my driveway, neighbors came by to check it out. Everyone loved it, except Karen. She marched up to me the next morning with her arms crossed and said, "Ryan, that vehicle is not compliant with HOA guidelines. It's too old. It lowers the neighborhood's property value." I almost laughed. "Karen, it's a classic car. It's worth more than your entire house." She glared at me and snapped, "I'll be reporting this. You can't just have junk cars sitting outside." I didn't even argue. I just started parking it in my garage after that to avoid her drama. I figured, out of sight, out of mind, right? Oh, if only it were that simple. A few weeks later, Karen suddenly started bragging around the neighborhood about her new car. She said, "I finally bought myself a real piece of American history. A vintage muscle car, just like those fancy ones men waste money on." And when she finally pulled into the street with it, my jaw dropped. It was a replica, a 1969 Mustang Fastback kit car. Same model, same color, but completely fake. It had modern headlights, plastic body panels, and the wrong wheels. She must have seen my expression, because she gave me that smug grin and said, "See, Ryan? This is how you own a classic, clean, modern, and HOA approved." I didn't even respond. I just nodded and went inside. I didn't care if her car was a knockoff, as long as she left me alone. But Karen doesn't know the meaning of "leave me alone." It was a Saturday morning. The sun was out, birds were chirping, and I decided it was the perfect day to take my Mustang out for a drive. I walked out to my garage, opened the door, and there it was, my beauty gleaming under the light. As I got in and started the engine, I noticed movement out of the corner of my eye. Karen, walking her dog, staring right at me. At first, I thought nothing of it. But then, her face froze. She looked at my car like she'd seen a ghost. And then she screamed, full-on horror movie scream. "That's my car. He stole my car." I blinked. What? Before I could even step out, she grabbed her phone and started shouting into it, "911. Yes. There's a man stealing my car right now. It's a black Mustang. He's driving it out of my neighborhood." I turned off the engine, got out, and said, "Karen, this is my car. I've had it for 6 months." But she wasn't listening. She was pacing, yelling, and waving her arms like a maniac. "Don't lie to me, Ryan. I bought that car from a collector last week. You swapped the plates. You're going to jail." At this point, a few neighbors came out to see what the noise was about. And of course, seeing flashing lights pulling into the cul-de-sac didn't help. Within minutes, 2 police cruisers rolled up. Officer Daniels, who I'd spoken to before about some HOA noise complaints, got out first. He approached me calmly, while his partner went over to calm Karen down. Daniels asked, "Hey Ryan, what's going on this time?" Before I could answer, Karen cut in, yelling, "He stole my SIA. He had it in his garage. He's a thief. I have the VIN and everything." The officer raised an eyebrow and asked her to produce proof of ownership. She pulled out a printed document, clearly some online purchase form, and waved it around like it was gospel. I opened my glove box and handed him my actual title, registration, and insurance, all in my name. He looked them over and asked, "Karen, where did you buy this car?" She huffed and said, "From a collector online. He said it was fully restored and looked exactly like this one. He even showed me pictures." Daniel sighed and said, "Ma'am, this VIN number doesn't match this car. It's not the same vehicle." Karen's face went pale. But she wasn't done. No, he must have changed the VIN. You don't understand, he's been jealous of me ever since I got on the HOA board." Daniels looked at me like, "Is this real life?" I shrugged. The officer decided to call it in, just to be safe. They ran my VIN through the system. Clean. Registered to me. Insured in my name for over 6 months. Then, they ran the VIN Karen provided. And guess what? It was a replica kit car. Not even street legal in our state. Officer Daniels turned to her and said, "Ma'am, the vehicle you purchased isn't the same make or model. It's a modern imitation." Karen's jaw dropped. "That's impossible. It looks exactly the same." He replied, "No, ma'am, it's like buying a toy and thinking it's the real thing. Yours is a replica. His is an authentic 1969 Mustang. Very different." You could see the realization hit her. Her little fantasy about owning a classic muscle car just crumbled in front of everyone. But instead of admitting she was wrong, she doubled down. "This is ridiculous. He set me up. He knew I wanted that car and he tricked me." Daniels sighed. "Ma'am, you need to stop. You just made a false report to 911. That's a serious offense." That's when her face completely drained of color. The officers didn't arrest her, but they did issue a written citation for filing a false police report. And since she wasted police resources, the HOA board got involved too. Apparently, she had already been warned for abusing her authority before. The neighborhood Facebook group blew up that night. Everyone was talking about how Karen called the cops on her own neighbor for stealing his own car. People were laughing, posting memes, even using her name as a joke. "Careful, or Karen will report you for stealing your own driveway." And here's the kicker. A few days later, the replica Mustang she bought got repossessed. Turns out, she'd been scammed by the collector. The seller disappeared with her deposit, and the car's paperwork was fake. Karma moves fast when you live on an ego. For a while, Karen tried to avoid me. She stopped walking her dog near my house and refused to make eye contact at HOA meetings. But at the next community gathering, she couldn't resist trying to save face. She walked up to me with that same fake smile and said, "No hard feelings, right? Honest mistake. Anyone could have made it." I looked her dead in the eye and said, "Karen, I opened my garage. You call 911. That's not a mistake. That's obsession." She didn't reply, just turned and walked away. After that, she quietly stepped down as HOA president. Some say she resigned. Others say she was strongly encouraged to. Either way, peace finally returned to the neighborhood. But here's the twist. A few weeks later, I got a letter in the mail from a local news station. Apparently, someone had submitted a tip about an HOA member calling the cops over a stolen car misunderstanding. They wanted to interview me for their Neighborhood Nightmares segment. I declined, but I laughed so hard I couldn't breathe. Karen wanted fame for being the face of order in the neighborhood, and she got it, just not the kind she imagined. So what's the takeaway here? It's simple. Entitlement and ego can blind you faster than a set of headlights. Karen was so obsessed with control, she forgot about common sense, and ended up calling 911 on an innocent neighbor because she couldn't stand the idea that someone else had what she wanted. Respect your neighbors. Mind your own business. And for the love of common sense, Maybe verify your car's VIN before you accuse someone of stealing it. Because as Karen learned the hard way, some lessons hit you like a V8 engine at full throttle. And that's how HOA Karen called 911 on me for stealing my own car. If you enjoyed this story, hit that like button, subscribe for more insane neighborhood tales, and tell me in the comments, what would you have done if your neighbor called the cops on you like that? Because me, I just let the truth and the engine speak for itself.